I didn't care for the platform. I didn't care for the platform because anybody could create an anonymous account and talk mad shit that they would never have the balls to say somebody's face. If attention is the new oil, Elon Musk does not have a problem garnering attention and literally turning it into wealth. So my business coach is like, look, you have things that you do that pay you, and you have things that you do that does not pay you. There's balance. Like the work-life balance, like I just don't believe that. I mean, you look at it and go, okay, you sleep for 8 hours, you work for 8 hours, you got 8 hours to and do what you want. There's your work-life balance. And we are back with another episode of The Julius Files. I am your host, Jason Julius, and today we are doing an off the rails. And my co-host Trish, the demi-galactic goddess of research. I'm probably screwing that up again.
It is, but we're going to change that later in life. Anyway,
yeah,
so
no problem. Yes, we will. We've definitely got some changes coming in general, but apparently Trish has some interesting topics out there in the world for us to conversate about, and we'll see how far down each one of these rabbit holes we go. So yes, I mean, when it comes to the world news, let's jump right in, Trish. Let me know what's going on in the world.
Talk about it. So first thing we're going to talk about is everybody's talking about right now is Twitter. Elon Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion.
And I'm gonna be honest, I thought the deal was dead a couple months ago, so I quit paying attention to it. And then all of a sudden it was brought to my attention that the transaction did actually go through.
Well, they're saying like it was a bad joke.
Okay.
And basically he got stuck with it. And they're like, well, you're here now, so what are we going to do? His top execs are already out. But
What?
His top execs.
Oh.
He kicks all of them out.
No, because I saw that that they said apparently some of his text messages leaked out. Mm-hmm. And that his top exec was whining about what he was saying on Twitter, and his response was, "What have you accomplished this week?" And I thought, that's a perfect example itself. But
absolutely, well, he plans on to lay off at least a quarter of the staff.
Okay,
and he's also going to do a blue check verification now. If you want to get on there, you can be verified. It's $20 a month. He said that he's not going to make a lot of immediate changes because it's not going to be a hellscape or a free for all. But he is going to make some different changes. Right now, it's only a tenth the size of Facebook.
Yep.
So he said that he's tired of the bullying and things like that. So he wants to kind of turn it around and make it a little bit better for everybody. But he definitely wants to get rid of the top paid executives. But they're saying that, with the package they gave him, it was almost $200 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like they're pretty comfortable right now. So.
Well, and that's the bitch about the golden parachutes. I mean, like, you can be a complete and to get you out, you're still ending up being, you never have to work another day in your life in general. And that, I mean, that's par for the course in general. But I can remember my own early days using Twitter. I didn't care for the platform. I didn't care for the platform because anybody could create an anonymous account and talk mad shit that they would never have the balls to say somebody's face. And I always had a problem with that in general. Then when I actually got to looking at it from a business aspect, I will say, Elon, the advertising platform sucks. I attempted to utilize it in the early days, and I found it very unappealing, especially from a small business perspective. Twitter's platform just sucks for any type of advertising or marketing. And when you, as the content consumer, are in fact the product, and your base revenue is coming off of advertising, I mean, like, the size and the growth of Facebook and Instagram was because their targeting and their ad platform is very user friendly. It works very well, and it was a piece that Twitter missed in the beginning, and I don't know that it ever really got much better. So at the end of the day, I still think Elon Musk ends up being the winner because he knows what he's doing in business, and there is so much room for improvement in Twitter. If somebody just comes in there with a viewing through a fresh lens with a certain amount of actual business acumen, not left leaning that this is what we want to allow, because at the end of it all, they're like everything, all of the major platforms, whether it be in search or social media, are also steeped in the left ideology to the point of skewing towards censorship and forgetting like the core principles of what America is supposed to be based on in freedom of speech and intolerance of all opinions. And it turned to intolerance if your opinion did not align with their viewpoints. So he has massive room for growth. And you watch, the man will literally spend the next 2 years fixing the platform, stopping the churn, cutting out the bots. And when he comes public again, he'll end up putting an extra $1 billion in his pocket and another feather in his cap for yet another business that he is CEO of. I mean, I got to give it to him because, I mean, I watched Tesla's rise and I stopped paying attention to the stock when I realized that the actual stock itself was as large as all of the big three combined. And it was like, okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. But if attention is the new oil, Elon Musk does not have a problem garnering attention and literally turning it into wealth. So I'm happy. When I say I'm happy, I mean I'm like.
You think it's going to be like Facebook though eventually?
Twitter's its own thing. So I will it be like Facebook? I mean, the question is, somebody else could say, well, is Facebook going to end up being like TikTok at some point? And I saw a interview with Elon Musk where he referred to an in particular platform in China that America didn't have anything like, and it was a home platform. When I say a home platform, it was everything. You were able to do your search, you were able to do your spending, you were able to do your social media. It was like a one all-encompassing platform where you could basically spend your life on the platform. I had never heard of it. It was some type of Chinese-based platform, but I mean, I was kind of.
Is it similar to the metaverse though?
That's what I'm saying is that, I mean, whatever America is doing, you can be sure that China has their own version of it. And if he's up on what they're doing and he literally has the ability to reimagine what Twitter is and what Twitter can be. I mean, Facebook is what it is, but the metaverse is literally going to change everything that Facebook is. So it doesn't matter what you envision Twitter is today with Elon Musk now owning it. Okay, well, he can turn it into whatever he wants to turn it into, and I certainly would not bet against Elon Musk, and because he is very aware of everything that goes on in this world, right down to wanting to develop new worlds, not on this earth. I'm gonna say don't count him out, don't bet against him, and Twitter could end up becoming the next big thing just upon simply reinvention. And if there's anybody that can do it, I mean, you got to tip your hat to this dude. I mean, congratulations, because the thing is so I went through an in particular business deal, and a lot of people thought that I was crazy because they felt like I gave it away. When it was all said and done, after the transaction was complete, and the transaction happened to be completed on April 1st, and what it ended up being was, well, they tore up the entire area. It completely trashed the entire area as far as traffic in general. Mm-hmm. And when we came to the closing table, unbeknownst to me, until I got to the closing table, they were sticking me with an extra several $1,000s worth of costs that just due diligence didn't uncover it. And in the moment, it was the deal is what the deal is. Are you going to close? And I thought, you know what? Joke's on you. Yeah. I'm okay. I'm going to close this deal because I'm going to walk away from this, and I don't have the responsibility going forward. Well, you can look at Elon Musk and say, well, maybe the joke's on him for spending $44 billion and how much the total cost of this. But if he reinvents Twitter and then turns around and re-IPOs a couple years later, all of a sudden he's going to go from, because that's the difference between a private company and a public company, is that you can invest in something and your dollar in might only be worth $1 in the investment. But then when you take it to the stock market, that dollar, they look at it as that becomes worth $20 or $30. So if he invests a couple $1 billion in this thing and actually makes it a really great platform to interact in, every one of those dollars is going to amplify upon re-IPOing. So you can talk smack about what the guy is doing right now. But if he turns around inside of 2 or 3 years and doubles or triples his money off of the investment by re-IPOing a better platform, a better product, okay, maybe he endures some pain today, but 12, 24, 36 months, he ends up doubling and tripling his money. I mean, well, that's a dream investment for anybody because most people are looking to double their money every 5 to 7 years. And if he's able to take that 44 and turn it to 88 inside of 24 months, then who's the joke going to be on? Because all he's going to do is it's just another feather in his cap. Because at that amount of money, I mean, like, come on, you're not going to spend that in your entire lifetime. He just has the ability to reinvest it and become a CEO of yet another project.
Yeah. And that's the thing too with him. He's got so many different things going on. This could be something that he could use really to his advantage because all of his followers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to turn Twitter into this blue check verification, which we had talked about, $20 a month to really show these people who you are. So to me, you're getting away from all of the ads and the scams and the bullshit that you get on there with the regular Facebook stuff. And then Instagram, I feel like Instagram these days is a lot like TikTok, just because they've changed like the reels and they've changed a bunch of that stuff. And I sit there and I watch these things and I look and I watched this one where the girl had taken like a gallon jug and like put it up next to the window to make it look like an airplane and this and that. So like, why not take Twitter and make it for people who are real?
Well, and I mean, I want to go towards that end of it.
Yeah.
When you think about the way this world has progressed, because I mean, I'm going to get kudos to Elon because he's found it. He said that Twitter needed to find other ways to monetize outside of advertising.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody on any platform that gets a blue check mark is like, ooh, you got that blue check mark.
Yeah.
Okay. If he is able to commoditize that and turn it into a monthly membership, meaning that for $240 a year, you are able to have that blue check verification on his platform, that just starts the process. And when you look at monetizing, what if he gets 1 million people to agree to $240 a year to have a blue check beside their name? And yeah, maybe they do have to run through an authentication process. But the point is, there's a lot of people out there that want that blue check by their name. And $20 a month is nothing. So if you're literally taking a section of your overall population on that platform and turning them into monthly subscribers so that they can have that blue check by their name,
Yeah.
that is another way to generate revenue for the business that I'm not going to deny. $240 a year, I'll pay it.
Yeah.
Like, and how many other people will be sitting there going, okay, I'll go through the authentication process, because with Twitter or with all of them, with Facebook, with Instagram, with TikTok, I mean, you have to go through that process. You might or might not be allowed to get verified.
I mean, we've talked about this going through Instagram and stuff
Yes.
like that. And there's so many different hoops that you have to jump through in order to get verified. So maybe once you pay this $20 a month or $240 a year, maybe you can take this off of the authentication and send that over to Instagram and say, okay, well, here's this. I'm already verified on Twitter. Here, I'm already verified on TikTok. I'm already verified. So maybe that will help get the process started for other places. But with him taking this small chunk of social media, which is only 1/10 of Facebook, and he's able to monetize this, all that's going to do is make Facebook and Instagram say, oh, well, shit, you're making money doing that. Let's go ahead and do this too. So then they're going to start following suit, because now the little guy came in and showed them really how to do things.
No, and more to the point, you're going to segment your groups, because I'm not going to deny I've been on Twitter, and my personal thought was, I don't know where you are. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're fake or real, but you're talking some shit that if you were in front of me, you'd probably have a black eye. If he will create segments inside of Twitter where the people that communicate, they will only communicate with other blue check people, because at least they will know that they will be doing or having conversation and communication with people that have verified that they are real people. Those real people actually care about and want to protect their reputation. So you're going to find a segment of people that they're only going to communicate with and have conversation with legitimate blue check people. And at the same time, the dude has created a monthly subscription model, which again is another, yes, you will find Facebook and Instagram and TikTok for that matter having to follow suit. It won't be a coveted thing that you're only in the special elite, even though you can verify, because the blue check is supposed to be about literally verifying you are who you say you are. But they've also held it away from the general public to say, if you're not special or you don't meet our criteria, then we're not going to allow you into this coveted group. Well, it is supposed to be about verification. And if he's able to turn that into a monthly subscription, again, that's another sign that the dude has found a way to monetize that platform without actually putting ads in front of you, which I'm sure he will rework the actual ad platform, but it's coming from a direction that I don't think either they haven't thought of it or they were like, no, we're elite and we want to hold this blue check over your head. Because I've seen people submit all of the proper documentation to be verified only to be said, no, we're not going to verify you, but you're free to apply again in another 30 days.
No, I'm good.
So you go through all of that process. And I'm like, if it is just simply you legitimately authenticate yourself and you're allowed to give him $20 a month to maintain that blue check, oh my God. I mean, how much money is he going to generate from that? And if he generates that money, again, if he generates $1 million as a private company, well, then that $1 million is going to be looked at a value of $20 or $30 million when he brings it back to re-IPO, going back into the public. So every dollar he can generate as a private company upon a re-IPO is just going to be amplified 20, 30, 40. And I mean, come on, he's Tesla. Every dollar has been amplified 50,
have you
100.
ever been inside of a Tesla?
No, I had dinner with my cousins. I mean, they're my favorite people. And I say that because they know that my overall feelings on family that I want to surround myself with just good character people. It is an added bonus that they happen to actually be family in the process. But Bob has a Tesla. Okay. And I remember after he got it, Shelly was talking about like she experienced the Tesla whiplash because apparently the damn thing accelerates so hard that you can literally experience whiplash in your neck. And they talk about it being such a joy to drive. And I have never been in one. I mean, it looks cool in general. Yeah. But Shelly was like, oh, you got to drive this. You'll be a believer once you actually drive it. Cause I am a true car guy. So I can appreciate all car designs. At some point I would like to drive it to actually try it out. I don't know if I will find the allure that the other
we
techies.
should do a TikTok and we should go test drive a Tesla and do a TikTok and see what it's like, because you just mentioned the whiplash. I was at a Halloween party a couple weeks ago and a couple people disappeared and she was like, where'd my husband go? And the other lady was like, oh, he's with my husband because they're doing a Tesla drive. And she was like, really? She's like, yeah, you really got to watch. Cause I guess when it accelerates from a red light. She said it can go from like 0 to like 70 or something in just a few seconds. She's like, it's crazy. She's like, so they're probably just stopping at red lights to see how it goes. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool, I guess. So yeah, we'll definitely have to figure that out.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. Let's
tell me here about how you feel about work days. I know that when you were growing up, just like now, it's this whole 40-hour week, 50-hour week, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. Chick-fil-A said no thanks. Chick-fil-A has introduced a 3-day work week. They're working between 13 and 14 hours, but they're getting paid for a 40-hour shift. This is something that I'm familiar with working in healthcare many moons ago. I was a caretaker for some special needs kids, and I only worked on the weekend. It was Friday through Sunday, 12-hour days. I got paid for 40. I only worked 36. Mm-hmm. Chick-fil-A says now this is something that a lot of people are doing just because it gives them more freedom. It's a lot of more work-life balance. The retention rate right now is at 100%. They said within the first week of introducing this job description with the minimized hours, they had over 429 applicants just because of the work week. Really? And they said what they're doing is they're taking these people who, you work fast food and beverage, even in general. It's hard work. Mm-hmm. You deal with a lot of people. You deal with a lot of different things going on. So instead of stringing this out 5 days a week, they're like, look, let's just do it 3 days. If you can do 3 days, we'll pay you 40 hours a week and then you'll be fine. So what they do is they take like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you'll work that for a couple weeks and then they'll flip it to where like 2 weeks later, you'll work Thursday, Friday, Saturday or something like that. but you still work with the same group of people, but you just switch around.
Yep.
So they're saying that this is something that also they do in China. Just obviously work-life balance over there, and they said, to take care of their loved ones. Some of them are even able to get side hustles to do things that they really enjoy. So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I'm going to say that that I initially saw it come in my time at Chrysler. And what I found funny was that when I was a union rep, that was when the actual negotiated language came in, because it was shifting to 4 10-hour days, so that you were 4 days on, 3 days off. However, they never actually implemented it while I was in office. So we had negotiated language that sat there, and they didn't utilize that language until 4 or 5 years after they actually got the language put in the book. And the work like that lasted for about 5 years. And they have found their way back to the 5-day, 40-hour a week. Now, I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent for any other industry.
Yeah.
I'm saying I watched the automotive industry fight hard to get the language, then take years to implement it, only for them to back out of it and go right back into the regular 5-day, 40-hour work week. I look back, and I made the decision to leave Chrysler because I had started Coffee Junkies, and I was pulled in between, and neither one was getting my full attention. And when they finally implemented it, I laughed and was like, I might have actually stayed had you implemented that language, because I would have went to second shift, worked my 4 days a week, and then I would have had 7 days a week on day shift to actually work on my business. But they never actually did it. So I never worked in the environment to experience what it is. When I look at somebody like myself, where I'm like, okay, it's 8, 12, 14, 16 hours a day on a regular basis, the thought of being able to pack that into 3 to 4 days and then have an extended weekend, or to have a rotation where you work the front half of the week, then got the back half off, then your next week was to work the back half. So basically you could work 2 40-hour shifts and literally have a full week's vacation in the middle.
Yeah.
That is appealing on theory. That is appealing in thought. But from my experience, from what I've seen out of people, most people have a hard time just getting through an 8-hour day in general.
Yeah.
Because if you're being offered that from the company, it's not for free. You're going to be expected to maintain that same level of productivity.
And that's what they talked about. They're like, you have to make sure that you're maintaining 100% productivity for these 3 days, because we're giving you this extra, 2 to 4 hours for free. But you're also working, longer hours. Do you think this would be something that you would be able to consider in like food and beverage?
It's something, I mean, it's an appealing thought to something that I've thought about, or that I'm finding my brain thinking about right now, like the legitimacy of it, because it could be something that I could potentially offer as a dueling.
Yeah.
Like the people that are not down for that, okay, well, we can work them on a regular schedule. The people that are down for that, well, then we could literally work them on an alternative schedule.
I was thinking like college students, especially.
Yep.
Especially during like finals and things like that. Single moms, single dads, whatever.
It's the thing is though, is it's brutal.
Yeah.
Because like the people that I saw doing that at Chrysler, they still only had 2 days off. If they worked 4 days, they worked under a work, sleep, or eat, sleep, go to bed, and then get back up and go to work. And over that 3 to 4 day period, they ended up needing a day worth of rest to recuperate from that. So they still only got 2 days off in general. But I think that, if it adds flexibility to this generation is different. I mean, even while we're talking about this gig economy where it's changing things in general, if you're able to offer somebody something that's appealing to them, again, that ain't no different than I've had people come in and they'll be gung-ho and be like, well, yeah, I want 50, 60 hours a week. And I've seen that if you give it to them, well, it's only a matter of time. They make that money and then they don't want to show up for work on their regular scheduled shift. And it's very few people have I seen that can maintain that they commit to 50, 55 hours a week and they can maintain that for durations of time. Most of them talk a big game, and when it actually comes down to producing it and doing it and staying at that high level of productivity for 12, 13 hours and knowing I have to very much go home, get some food in my stomach, go to sleep to be back to do it all over again, and do that for 3 and 4 days in repetition, It's a level of responsibility that it sounds good in theory, but when you actually come to the practice of it, I'm saying at best, only half the people are able to actually keep up with the responsibility of the practice of it so that they can enjoy that work-life balance that everybody seems to be going after, which I really do find is a crock of shit. I mean, my business coach is like, look, you have things that you do that pay you, and you have things that you do that does not pay you. There's your balance. Like the work-life balance, like I just don't believe that. I mean, you look at it and go, okay, you sleep for 8 hours. You work for 8 hours. You got 8 hours to and do what you want. There's your work-life balance. We all agree that we're going to spend 1/3 of our life in bed. And so you take that out, you got the other 2/3. Half of it's work and half of it's you do what you want to do. And if you plan out and do what you want to do in your time, there's your balance. I mean, quit overthinking it.
Yeah.
It's just simply you have things that you do that pay you and things that you do that do not pay you. And quit focusing on work-life balance and just live your life. But yeah.
I think it also depends on how much you like your job.
True, but that's the bad thing is it's like when you can find extra enjoyment in your job, that's the added bonus. But we all got to remember, jobs are for paying for responsibilities that we voluntarily take on in our life. So I've said that I live to work. Some people work to live. Like I know a lot of people that they don't let their work define them. Me, I'm a big believer that work is something that allows you to work on something bigger than yourself, and hard work breeds character. It gives you a certain semblance of appreciation for delayed gratification, and a good employer goes out of their way to actually make it is just more than earning a paycheck. That there's actual personal fulfillment in the job. But when you get into major companies, they break the work down so specific that there's a certain amount of monotony in it because that's what you're being paid to do, where it is a lot harder for you to literally build that feeling of that extra sense of value and belonging and feeling like you are working towards something that it's hard to do inside of work. But we all have to remind ourselves that work is where we go to earn money to pay bills, and bills are created by what you voluntarily create as your own personal responsibility. So most people, I'm here to say, quit looking at work and thinking like it's responsible for giving you all of these warm and cuddly feelings. That's not the responsibility of work. If you're able to find that type of enjoyment in work, like kudos to you. I'm not mad about that. I do try and instill a certain amount of that in my own culture in work. But it's supposed to be the icing on the cake. That's not the base of what commerce is. That's not the base of what work is. Work is a way for you to earn income so that you can pay for the shit that you voluntarily decided to take on as a responsibility. Work is not there to be only created just to fulfill your personal sense of purpose. I mean, come on, like, let's be real about this.
You got hot water.
Yeah, that's...
Like, you're going to have to pay for these things.
Exactly.
So how are you going to do this?
Yeah.
You're going to job. You're going to hate that job, then go find another job. But you still have bills to pay.
Well, I mean, I'm a roadie. Like, I love traveling.
Yeah.
I love taking road trips. Okay, well, you got to have a job in order to be able to have the money to pay for the gas, to pay for the car, so that in your personal time, you can go do these things. But a car payment is still a responsibility that requires you got to take your ass to work and work to earn money so that you can pay to have that. Yep, the car takes your ass to and from work, but it's the work-life balance, that other 8 hours a day that you're able to utilize that car to go do whatever else you want. You want a roof over your head? Okay, well, what varying degrees? Do you want a basic roof that is a low level of cost and responsibility, or do you want a nice roof, which is a high level of cost and responsibility? How many hours do you got to work for it? How hard do you got to work for it? How educated, how developed do your skills have to be in order to work for it, in order to pay for it and accept personal accountability. You chose that was what you wanted, and that dictates how hard you got to work for it and how many hours you got to put in to pay for responsibilities that you should hold yourself personally accountable. You decided to take on those responsibilities, so quit bitching about what people are telling you you have to do. No, own your shit. You're the one that actually decided that this was what a responsibility that you wanted to personally take on, and that requires taking your ass to work. And you can look at your 40-hour week and say, well, 4 hours a week pays for this responsibility that I took on. 8 hours a week pays for this responsibility that I took on. You didn't have to take on those responsibilities. Either you didn't have to buy a car, or you didn't have to buy that nice of a car.
That nice of a car.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have to live. Everybody wants to live above their means.
Yes.
Everybody wants to go out and buy big ass houses and big ass cars and big ass this. And then you come back and you're like, well, I don't have enough money because, I only want to work this amount of time because of this work-life balance. That's not how it works.
No, that's what kills me is they're like, I only want to work 40 hours a week, but I also want to live in a $500,000 home. I also want to drive a $75,000 car, but I should only have to work because I feel like I should only have to contribute 40 hours in order to pay for these things. And I'm like,
you a 40-hour house and a 40-hour car.
Well, and that's
the difference.
I mean, in entrepreneurship and going through those hard years, it taught me to be a minimalist. And by being a minimalist, I'm like, I can get my life down to where I don't need but $20,000 or $30,000 a year in order to pay for the things that I find most important, because I don't need a lot in order for me to cover it. It ain't no different than, I have Amazon and I've got Netflix. I don't have the other, I'm not even going to Hulu and all the other that you can rattle off, that inevitably all that shit ends up costing you as much as just buying a full freaking cable package. Yeah. Between these two platforms, there's more than enough content that if I'm looking for brain dead, which I'm not going to deny, I do find good documentaries and still things to learn on those platforms. But the point is, between those two platforms, you're talking about $20 a month. Okay. It's the moron that decides they want the 20 options that now they've made the responsibility of $100 a month. Well, then you look at how many hours a week that you have to work to cover that responsibility, but you can't consume all of that content. But don't you feel warm and cuddly that you have access to 6 different media platforms? Like, you decided that you were going to do that. Get minimalistic if you want to talk about you want to work less for more work-life balance. At least own your shit and understand you are the one that personally responsible for taking on all of these responsibilities. You want to know how hard you got to work? Well, assess the responsibilities you took on in life. That tells you how hard you got to work, what fields you've got to work in, how many hours you actually have to put in. And it starts with what responsibilities you personally want to take on that dictates how many hours a week that you got to work. At least quit putting it on other people that somehow you're oppressed because you got to work all these hours. Yeah. You chose that shit. I mean, I know guys at Chrysler that like their life is not based on a 40-hour week. If they don't work 50 or 60 hours, they can't pay their day-to-day bills. Yeah. Okay, well, at Chrysler, the average income is $75,000. I'm telling you, if you cannot live and save money on a $75,000 income, then own your shit. You have created so many responsibilities that your dumbass has yourself locked into having to work mandatory more hours a week than you actually want to work because you took on all of these responsibilities. That's yours to own. Quit complaining about it. You chose to take on these responsibilities. Yeah. You didn't have to trade in your car and go to a new car. You didn't have to sell your small house and go to a big house. You decided you wanted all of these things. At least own your shit, because when you do all that, it dictates just how hard you got to work.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Okay.
This other topic we're going to talk about is going to be something very interesting because there's 2 different ways I've done this. First way, it was to hop on CNN and get the news. And then Bougie Blonde Dawn says, CNN, what are you doing on CNN? You should be on Fox News. And I'm like, okay. This is what I'm going to tell you what I'll do.
And Dawn's the opposite side of she only wants to listen to the pieces that are going to fuel what her frame of thought is, as opposed to actually diversely trying to see all viewpoints out there and read through the bullshit and get the real story.
Well, I've got this from CNN, and everybody knows that Nancy Pelosi's husband, we'll just call him Mr. Pelosi, was attacked. A man named David DePepe came in around 2:30 in the morning, broke in the house with a hammer, came in, wants to know where Nancy is. Nancy's not around. Mr. Pelosi is like, fighting this guy, whatever, trying to get him down. He calls the police. He tells the police that it's a friend. And they're like, so a friend is there, but he sounds very confused. Well, they come in, obviously. Both men are now in their underwear. So they're trying to figure out what's happening, why these dudes are in their drawers. Like,
and there's a hammer involved.
There's a hammer involved, and now Mr. Pelosi got
not a paddle, a hammer.
And now Mr. Pelosi has been cracked with this hammer. He has a skull fracture. So everybody's trying to figure out, because CNN referred to this as possibly a gay quarrel. The police were kind of joking about it, whatever. So then I'm like, all right, I take the Bougie Blonde's advice. I hop on. I found ABC's news. ABC says, wait a minute, did you know that David was also a nudist? So David, the guy who breaks in, is a proactive nudist who likes to show up to protests and things in the nude because he feels like you should just be free. And
I'm down with that side of it. I mean,
he's like fighting them about it. And he apparently protests quite often in the nude because he feels like, you shouldn't have to wear clothes anyway. And now they're kind of wondering what's happening. So as the story goes on, Nancy was actually in Washington when all of this happened. So they're trying to figure out why the hell this dude shows up and wants to bash him with a hammer, looking for Nancy, goes back to the bedroom. My thing is, how does he know where your bedroom is? Because if I have never been to your house, I would not be able to tell you where any of these things are. Hell, I still don't even know where your bathroom is sometimes. So like, what are we doing here, sir? What's happening? So my question is, Nancy, if your boyfriend or your husband is gay, that's fine. You don't have to be worried about it. Just don't let it get in the news like this.
live and let live.
But what happens? Like,
I mean,
is he really there because he's causing problems, or is this possibly a quarrel of some sort?
Man, I just don't even know.
And now I feel bad. Like, I feel bad for Nancy because...
Oh, don't feel bad for Nancy.
No, you're in Washington. And all of a sudden, this dude breaks in your house, and I don't give a damn. You bashed my husband. Well, if you guys were fucking, then that's on him.
Yep.
But you just broke my window. So now I'm being a little upset about my window. Now there's blood everywhere. There's two guys in his underwear. Now the police are involved, but I'm not even here. So what's happening in my house?
Wow. I'm almost afraid to opine.
You see what I'm saying? What do you say about that? And like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole conspiracy.
Man, like, and you know what? Because I'm not going to opine on this. And I'm saying that because it's like, if I have one thing that drives me nuts, it's like, if you go on social media, the people that paint this perfect picture of a house and a white picket fence, and we just have this perfect family. I'm like, that's a crock of shit. Wow. But on the other end of it, I'm also saying, don't be airing your dirty laundry out there for everybody. This really strikes me as dirty laundry.
Because the FBI found no evidence.
Okay, and here we are
There's
again.
no evidence of an intruder. There's no evidence of this. And now there's a friend that's involved. Your window got busted. Is this really what happened, or were you guys in here feuding? And
but we have tax dollars for the FBI to get involved in a domestic issue, and the only reason is because it's Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, of course.
Because whoever her husband is, if they weren't married, wouldn't be no FBI getting involved in this anyway. This is just simply another domestic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. I mean, I don't. Because I'm like, this is white trash shit where the cops have to get involved in your personal domestic BS. I'm sorry. Because I'm like, don't judge me. I'm not going to judge you. Live and let live. I can't believe that this made its way into the news. And this is probably part of a major news
CNN.
cycle.
This is on CNN.
And if it's on CNN,
ABC.
I'm sure that it is on Fox News.
Absolutely. Well, that was the thing, because Bougie Blonde was like, well, don't forget. She's like, this guy here, he's some crazy person. He lives in a trailer. He's, this could be a boyfriend situation. The FBI and the police are now involved. And I'm like, okay. So I'm reading through there, and they're like, no, there's nothing involved. Like, there's no intruder. This shit right here is probably just a gay quarrel. They got it.
And again, yeah, like.
And that's my thing. And there's some places where the husband and the wife, they have a relationship. They have open relationships. Every relationship is never going to be black and white. Whatever you do is definitely not going to be what I do, but that's okay. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe she knew this already. Maybe she was out of town, was like, whatever you do is on you. And then this escalates into something else. But because him being involved with her, obviously through marriage, the FBI is like, wait, what? The house got messed up. Let's go see what's going on. And now this could have all just been resolved.
No, because that's the thing is it's like you walk that fine line.
2:30 in the morning in fucking San Francisco.
Wow.
Like,
because like if you're a public figure, there's a certain amount of your life that you're not going to be able to keep private.
Yes.
But on the other end of it, like the reason I'm not going to opine on this is because I would rather talk shit about how much I'm disgusted by Nancy Pelosi and her politics. This is behind closed doors shit that is none of my business.
And CNN and everybody is just like, well, let's just talk about this because we don't have anything else to go.
No, and that's
so now is this something that we really need to talk about, or is this the propaganda that just keeps going to the news?
I'm sorry. I'm not like Nancy Pelosi. I think that you are a disgusting human being because of your politics. But whatever kind of freaky shit you and your husband got going on behind closed doors, that is your business. It is not mine to judge. And I'm damn sure not going to get in the middle of it or judge you for it. Because I truly do believe in live and let live. This is not mine. I mean, like, if there are people being hurt, obviously the cops got to get involved. But I'm just a big believer, like, whatever consensually happens behind closed doors, whatever you decide you want to allow into your personal life, like, everybody's got fetishes. Everybody's got things that do it for them. You do you. I'm not here to judge you in any way, shape, or form. Your politics suck. You are a horrible example as a representative. You're a horrible example as a woman. You're a horrible example as a human being, all based on my feelings about what I see in your politics. But the shit that goes on in your bedroom, man, I'm not even getting into that. That is your business.
But again, the FBI now is involved in this. The FBI has came down here. The police are involved. And like you said, if she was just some Joe Schmo on the street, nobody would even know any of this.
No, not at all. Well, and again, and I think that it should be left that way because that's personal life stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. If that stuff comes out and then all of a sudden you're caught trying to enact hypocritical laws due to shaming or whatnot, I mean, okay, maybe there's a story there, but I don't know that that Nancy Pelosi is in there trying to create any type of laws for any type of nefarious shit having to, again, man, I'm just like, I just don't want to. It's not, because it's not my business. That's, I think that is some craziness that we shouldn't be having tax dollars go towards it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing too.
It sounds to me like
all the people's money.
Yeah, this is everybody has a public life and jobs and work that they have to do. This sounds like this is some personal shit that she needs to be calling her husband and having some heart to heart, and they need to be coming to their own personal figuring outs of whatever the hell is going on in their personal life that ain't none of my business, that I do not care about. This wasn't no different than Bill Clinton. Like, I'm gonna be honest, people can talk all the smack they want. I care less what sexual acts of legal consenting adult age happened with Bill Clinton. I supported Bill Clinton as a president because I found him as that middle of the road that he could bring both aisles together and actually get them to agree on something for the benefit of the people in general. I didn't give a shit about the Monica Lewinsky story. I thought that it was like I said.
But again, it's something like this. You take a mountain, you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
Oh, absolutely. On purpose, for clickbait. Yeah.
And you're sitting here, you're bringing these public figures into the light saying, oh, well, look at this. Okay, are you trying to tell us about, like, you know, are they lying? There's so many different ways that this story could go. But my thing is, you've taken something so simple and made it huge just because it's her.
Well, and that's where we come into the politics where I will never claim a Democrat or a Republican. I got no problem being independent. I neither want to get on this side of this issue or I don't want to be a hater on this issue and judging and shaming, and I don't want to be boo-hoo, who is you have been no, I'm happy just to, on this one I'll just stay out of it. That's it. Ain't my business. Ain't my business. Don't want it to be my business. You do you. Sounds like you got some drama you need to be handling in your life. Let's handle your business. I mean,
stay off CNN.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Is that
all I got.
that's all for today? Okay. Well, I think that that we're gonna leave it right there. Where there was definitely some interesting topics. If you got some opinions, please feel free to chime in. If I made you laugh, please like it, rate the show, and
Tell all
I
your
don't
friends
know.
about us.
Yeah, definitely tell all your friends about it. So, all right. Until next time, you guys have a good night.